Putin has threatened to use devastating nuclear weapons on several occasions, but an expert warned such a move would have devastating consequences for Russia. Vladimir Putin has been warned the West would destroy his Russian army on the ground in 2 or 3 days if he follows through with threats to use nuclear weapons in the Ukraine war. Russia's president has issued several veiled threats to use tactical nuclear weapons as part of a furious response to the support the West has provided Ukraine. Most recently, he chillingly vowed to deploy Russia's super-destructive Satan II nuclear-capable missiles to combat duty. But such threats have sparked a furious reaction from some of Russia's biggest global allies, including China, whose President Xi Jinping reportedly personally warned Putin against using nuclear weapons. Nicholas Drummond, a former British Army officer who is now a defense industry analyst and consultant specializing in land warfare, has warned the consequences for Russia would be devastating. He argued not only would China turn against its once great ally, but it would trigger the collapse of Russia and see the West wipe out Putin's army in a matter of days. The expert told Daily Express US, if Russia succeeded now and used tactical nuclear weapons, it would have to deal with a Ukrainian insurgency for the next 40 years, and you just can't win those types of wars anymore. Putin has threatened to deploy the Satan II nuclear missile, but he knows if he starts using tactical nuclear weapons, it's all over for Russia. China will completely disown him, and if they come onto our side against Putin, then there would be huge ramifications for Russia. We would see the collapse of Russia. You could have a situation where the West would destroy the Russian army on the ground in 2 or 3 days. If you start applying massive air power, and first take out their air defenses. What he certainly doesn't want to do is trigger a massive over-response from the West. This underlines the seriousness of the situation. Last month, during a speech to newly graduated soldiers, Putin vowed to deploy the Satan II nuclear-capable missiles to combat duty, adding the new generations of the Sarmat intercontinental ballistic missiles could soon be in full use. He chillingly warned, in the near future, the first launchers of the Sarmat complex with a new heavy missile will go on combat duty. Russia's president continued, the most important task here is the development of the nuclear triad, which is a key guarantee of Russia's military security and global stability. But earlier this year, Chinese President Xi Jinping, a close ally of Putin for several years, reportedly personally warned the Russian against using nuclear weapons in the Ukraine war. The message was delivered to Putin during Xi's state visit to Moscow in March, according to a report by the Financial Times, citing Western and Chinese officials. The move from Xi to deter Putin from using nuclear weapons is key to China repairing increasingly strained relations with Europe, according to a senior advisor to the Chinese government. China has publicly repeated its opposition to the use of nuclear weapons in the conflict, and the warning from Xi had increased hopes. Beijing is making its position clear on the matter, absolutely clear. A senior Chinese government advisor also warned a Russian nuclear strike on Ukraine or one of its European allies would risk turning the continent against China, according to the FT. Shi Yinhong, professor of international relations at Renmin University in Beijing, said that Russia has never and will never have China's approval for using nuclear weapons. He added, if Russia decided to use nuclear weapons against Ukraine, China will further distance itself from Russia.